Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. So in this one, we'll take a look at the overall markets. Nice to see some green back into it yesterday and again this morning, especially with ADA getting a nice move to the upside. I know my own portfolio felt a lot better looking at it in the green rather than the red we have had over the last while. I know not everyone's into the price videos. I will get back to fundamental videos over the next while, but markets are something I watch daily coming from the trading side, and I get a lot of questions, so I like to put the odd one in like this as well. Give the video a like, comment questions below, opinions, everything like that, and share it out if you think others can benefit. I do appreciate it. Let's jump into it. Okay, so starting out here on CoinMarketCap, we can see right now Bitcoin is just above $32,000. Really nice move over the last 24 hours, up nearly 5%. You can see then if you start to go down through it, the ADA Cardano price definitely stands out here as well. Right now up just under 17% for the last 24 hours. When I looked at this morning, I think it was something like 24% over the last 24 hours, which was very nice to see first thing in the morning. And the important one for me that I talk about a lot here is looking at your coin and your portfolio against Bitcoin. And you can see over the last 24 hours, again, the ADA price really stands out there at up 12.5% against Bitcoin. So this is all of the different coins here priced against Bitcoin. So good to see the ADA price well up there as well. We will take a look at that chart when we get into it as well. Okay, so jumping into the chart then. So that's the ADA USD chart. We will come back to this in a minute, but I think right now we need to look at Bitcoin with everything that's going on, because that really sets the scene of how the overall crypto market is working. And there's a big influence from the stock market, which we'll look at as well. So this is the area we've been looking at for the last while. This is the area that Bitcoin has been trending in, basically between $31,000 and just under 29. Briefly broke down below it here. Thankfully, it was fairly brief. We got back into this range and just ranged between the resistance on top at 31,000 and the support at just under 29 on the bottom. So the more times we tested the lower side, I mentioned it in the last video, I was starting to get a little bit worried that we might get this break to the downside. Can't rule out that we won't get a break to the downside on this just yet, with so many external factors going on right now. Look, if I looked at this chart and the rest of the world was all okay, stock markets were fine, there wasn't talk of recession, wars, everything like that, I'll be thinking, right, we're looking fairly decent here to the move to the upside. We held our support. What you would look at here is that you hold here, get a bit of a foothold before making the next leg to the upside, and then seeing this was the last area of support here, this is what you would look at as the next target area for the price. There's a lot of other factors out there though, so we need to keep them in mind. For now, things look fairly good for Bitcoin there, but always be aware that at the flick of a switch with what's going on in the world right now, things can change very quickly. So if you're in this kind of for the shorter term, make sure you pay attention. If you're in it for the longer term, then you're not so worried about things like that. So if we look here and talking about the stock market and the effect it has, if I look on the hourly here, you can see the strong break here overnight, or kind of just yesterday evening for some people. We got the break for Bitcoin USD here. On the stock market open today, which is 2:30 for me here in Ireland, you can see we had the push up just before it and then the pullback on the stock market open, because when the stock market opened, it opened down, found its support and moved to the upside. So this is Bitcoin. But if you look at the comparison of the two, lots of people talk about that there's no correlation with Bitcoin and the stock market. Some people say they're extremely correlated. I think it's somewhere in between, and it changes. It goes in cycles and different flows. Right now, they are very correlated. And when you look at the chart here, you can see that if we look, this is Bitcoin on top, the daily, and the S&P as the example for the stock market on the bottom. And you can see with Bitcoin back in March, and you can see the dotted line appears here for the S&P. You can see it had been a downtrend since then, really, on both charts. You can see down here and the same down here. S&P started to get its footholds here as Bitcoin was also just trending sideways, not doing a lot. And over the last few days, you can see towards the end of last week, the S&P started to move to the upside, and Bitcoin is really reflecting that as well. So if you want to get the bigger picture overall what's going on, keeping an eye on the S&P and the overall stock market for some indication isn't a bad idea either. So if we come back over to the Bitcoin chart then, so I think we've kind of covered mainly what's going on here. Generally, when you break these resistance areas, what I like to see is a pullback to test them. Didn't quite test it here. I like to see that your previous resistance level is tested, that it then can become support. So just like this was support down here, what we want to see is this area becoming support to then help us push our next leg to the upside. We'll keep an eye on that over the next few days and see how that one plays out. Looking at the ADA price then, we'll start out on the ADA BTC chart here. And again, this is what we were saying, up 12.5% over the last, 24 hours. And even more so if we look here from the low down here to the current price, up 23% as it is right now. Hit a high of up to 37% over the last few days, which was nice to see. Obviously, we have had a lot of downside over the last while, so we wait and see how this plays out. What I would like to see is we did hit up to over 22,100 sats, pull back right now. So if we can get our support in around this 2,000 sats level and then make our next leg to the upside, that's what what you would like to see here at this stage. When I done my video talking about the Vasil hard fork and the ADA price, the ADA BTC chart was the one I said I would expect to see moves to the upside on this. What happens corresponding to the ADA USD price, the dollar value of the price then, depends on Bitcoin and the overall market. Right now, as we've seen for Bitcoin, things look a lot better. And what we really need for the ADA price to get the maximum push for the Vasil hard fork is the Bitcoin price to be moving to the upside or fairly stable as well. Obviously, if it's moving to the upside and the market is getting a little more bullish, then we're going to get the maximum effect for the ADA price. But like all hard forks, I would expect a push to the upside, few days before, maybe even up to a week. We will have that pullback, and the pullback will continue after the hard fork as well, because generally you have the big bit of FOMO, and especially if the market gets a little bit more bullish, there will be a lot of FOMO there into the coin, and you will have people jumping in, getting in on the FOMO and selling out before the actual event happens, because yes, we're going to get some huge scaling improvements for Cardano. The SIPs will be in there as well to allow more complex DeFi come in. We've talked about them in previous videos, so I won't get into them here. But they bring a lot of extra utility or allow a lot more dApps to launch, but they're not all going to launch the day after the hard fork. It will be 1, 2, maybe 3 months before we see some of them starting to come out. So there will be that period where there mightn't be a lot happening, and then things can pick up after that. Especially, I've mentioned it a few times, when you get the likes of money markets bringing in more utility, that's when you really start to see a kick up in the actual token price as well. So in summary of that, if we're looking at the ADUSD price here, areas I will be looking at, look, I don't rule out breaking to the downside again if the overall market breaks. But if we are looking to the upside, what I would look at is potential resistance in around here. Didn't stick, in around here somewhere. So kind of your 73 cent to the 80 cent, because when we dropped here, this was the support level here. So I would expect that to be a bit of a resistance level. Maybe if we get our support, move up to this area here, this is where I would expect to get turned back a bit. Again, market gets its bit of accumulation and support and pushes to the upside. Only after we break above 80 cent area here would I even consider looking at the $2 level. Once you get above that, then you can start looking at the 125 would be the next level there. But this is what I will be concentrating on right now. So obviously keeping an eye on the overall market. If that is turning more bullish, even if it starts to move a bit more sideways, once it's not turning down, that's good for ADA right now. If the overall market is turning down, that will kill a lot of the buzz around this and start pulling the ADA price down. If you are looking to go into this, I've already seen people saying, oh, I wanted to buy in under 50 cent, or I wanted to buy in the 50 cent range, and they're thinking of FOMOing in right now. I've got quite a few messages on that today. I would say never FOMO into the market. DCA, dollar cost average, is always the strategy I personally use. Anyone never heard of it before? Regulars are probably sick of me saying it, but basically it means you have $1,000 you want to buy into the market, break that into separate bags. We'll say put $400 into the market at whatever price you're looking at, the current market price. Set lower limit orders in the market then. So if the price continues to fall down, all of your different orders start to fill, means your average price is brought down here instead of being up here. Yes, there's the risk that the market takes off before you fully buy in, but to me, I rather play on them odds than FOMOing all in here, price tanking down, and my average price is a lot higher than it actually should be. So in summary then, things are definitely looking a lot better than they were a few days ago. Overall, Bitcoin is the one to keep an eye on for the market structure to see where the overall crypto market is going to be going. If it's going up, then I would expect the ADA price to outperform it over the next few weeks leading up to the hard fork. What you do then, whether you take some profits or whether you stay in and wait to see the DApps and everything that launches, that's completely up to you. Everyone will be different. I'll cover more towards that. Follow it as it happens as well and give my opinions and some of what I will be doing personally as well. I hope this has been of some value. One other thing outside of price, the World Mobile Token Earthnode auctions have started today. So you can see that the first auction has now started. There's currently a bid of 11,000 WMT on it. We'll see how that goes. I would also say don't FOMO into these. There will be different Earthnodes coming up for auction. So potentially we see fairly high bids for the first few and then people start to realize that yes, they might get them a bit cheaper. So keep an eye on it. As usual, don't FOMO in. Decent article on Coindesk today, an interview with Charles Hoskinson. So good to see some positive information over on Coindesk about Cardano as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. Share it out. Give the video a like. Comment below, even for the algorithm. I'll talk to you soon.